All right. We're live here. You guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you can't tell, I'm super excited about this interview session. Anybody that's been following me knows I've been sharing this galore for the last couple of days, few days. So we've got a local celebrity here with us today. So Sami Kader. You don't really need much of an introduction. Sammys Circuit, right? Like I think you've become a household name. But anyhow,
Yeah,
thanks for
having me. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to chat with you. And yep.
Cool. Yeah. So what I have planned for today is, I want to know a little bit more about. I want to know more about you. Like who is Sami from Sammys Circuit, right? Takes a lot to do what you do every day, and I want to know like where you get that from, like the fire, the inspiration, and then also want to hear a little bit more about like what's coming up or what projects are you working on and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So I have some questions for you. First, I've been trying to kick off these tribe calls, I'm calling them, with just something fun, right? Like there's a lot of craziness going on in the world right now, so might as well have a little bit of fun. So I'm gonna share this clip. I think it fits pretty good with what we're talking about today. Hopefully we got the audio here. It's just something I saw the other day I thought was awesome.
I'll do it. Well, here goes something, I guess. Well, you can do this. I'm gonna jump. Whoa, my ski's slipping off.
Just remember, never snowplow, okay?
No snow plows.
Keep it straight, you'll be fine.
Okay.
You can go on the 20.
Straight. Do you go faster on the end run?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Is it any steeper, do you think? Not much?
Same steepness, it's just longer.
Well, just longer. Just longer. Just a bigger 20, that's all.
Yep. Have
It's
fun.
a bigger 20. Go ahead. You got it. I got it. It's fine. You'll be fine. Okay. Here. The longer you wait, you'll be more scared. I go. Just the suspense at the top of the first time freaks you out. That's the only thing. It's so fun. Huh? 60 seems like nothing now.
You do it every year.
All right, hold on. Let me see here. I don't know. It seemed very appropriate for having a chat with Sammys Circuit.
Well, I mean, that's, there's nothing about, there's nothing that makes me more happy than to see our youth grow, just seeing kids get stronger step by step. And that's what that video is about. She was scared, and that was natural, but she overcame that fear, and that feeling of accomplishment is so cool. How could you not smile seeing kids overcome things and seeing them accomplish things, because those things make you stronger every step of the way, especially when you overcome. Like, I would have never had the courage to do that when I was that age, So just to see the power in that with our youth overcoming, our youth getting stronger, I love that.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if you heard it or if you could see, but like literally someone in the background was like, "You got this."
Yeah.
Like literally, like word for word. I was like, "Oh, they said." I didn't realize it at first, but I was like, "Wow, they said you got this. That's awesome."
You got this.
Like,
yeah, no, we all need to hear those words, right? I mean, everybody, not just kids. I mean, everybody. We all need to hear those good words.
yeah. Who? So I know, I've listened to your story that you have on your website, right? SammyCircuit.com. There's like a link to your YouTube, and it talks about your background and your story. But so actually, I'm gonna table a question yet in terms of who's reached out and supported you. Tell me a little bit about who you are. Who is Sami Kader?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a family. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I've got an amazing family. My 3 kids, my wife Megan, and they drive me forward every day to keep doing what I do. And basically, that's go around just empowering kids and families to kind of see the powers, see the strengths that they have in them already. I know that when I was a kid, I didn't see anything good in myself. Not just like who I was as a person. I didn't think that I had anything that was worth mentioning, anything about myself that was important, anything about myself that really meant anything. So when somebody came into my life, they helped me to, get healthy. They helped me to make changes in my life, get me up off the couch. But the biggest thing that they did for me was they helped me to kind of see what was there the whole time, So, to answer that question, I'm just somebody trying to use what I've gone through to make it mean something, The things that we go through, they're, if not anything else, they're meant to be used in a way that does good. And what I went through growing up, I know that it was meant to be used in this positive way. So I'm just trying to empower our youth and families to kind of use those tools that were all given to us for free, the tools that are there, the tools that some of us might not see, to help realize that strength inside of us and, start building that feeling of accomplishment at a very young age, that self-esteem, the belief in ourself and the belief in, just helping other people, paying it forward.
Yeah. Why do you think you have such a strong, like, why is that your mission, or like, why do you have such a strong need to do that?
I don't know. It's hard to answer that because I didn't really choose it. Like, it wasn't like I got up one day and I said, this is exactly what I'm going to do. This is how it's going to look. It's just like one step at a time towards this feeling inside of me that was kind of like calling me this direction. And I knew I always wanted to share my story with kids. I just didn't know how I would do that. And, for the first, from 18 to 28 years old, I questioned the validity of my story. Like as far as like, not just if it was valid, but just if it even was worth mentioning. A lot of people feel like, oh, why should I tell my story? Because so many other people have gone through so much worse. So you kind of devalue your story. You don't really own it. And when I got to a place when I realized, hey, like, it's not about comparing myself to other people. It's about using what I've gone through to help other people, however that looks. And a lot of times you don't know how it's going to look, so you kind of just don't even bother trying. And so with me, I didn't really know this was going to happen. I just had a feeling, and that feeling wouldn't go away. And then it came to a crossroads where I knew that if I didn't pursue this feeling that I had inside of me, I would then have regret as I got older. You pass a point where, your 20s, you're kind of learning all these different things, making mistakes, whatever. And then I got to a point where I was like, look, if I don't try this, and public speaking was my biggest fear, bigger than any fear, public speaking. I was humiliated as a kid, countless times, more times than I can remember at a very young age, at the fundamental years of my growth. So for me, I got a physiological reaction when I would get in front of people. So to get in front of people and to share my story was something that just I was just definitely terrified of doing that. And so that fear is kind of what I had to overcome. And that fear is kind of what turned into strength, which then really gave me a drive, a passion to keep going that direction.
Hmm.
I know it's kind of a long answer, but it's hard to answer these things without kind of going into a little bit of backstory.
I mean, yeah, I get it 100%. And there's probably still so many layers of that we could probably, peel apart if we had, if we had a couple hours to hang.
Yeah. Right.
So no, I mean, it's fair to say then, like, to kind of to make sure I'm taken away from this, like it seems like, well, you had momentum, so that's what it is too, right? And you're going with what you started, you're staying in movement, and that obviously with all the feedback that you've gotten from people, like, your story is clearly worth sharing. It's clearly making an impact on people's lives. So
well, yeah, no, you start sharing your story, and then you start noticing that people are identifying with that, and I think that my story, it really takes place when I was young, when I was in elementary school. So kids identify with my story. They understand it, they feel it, and then they know that the way that I'm telling that story, like, that it's true, that it is something I went through. And it definitely relates to kids. And my story actually, I've heard from so many parents that they relate to that as well. They had felt feelings of not feeling right who they were as a kid, feelings of trying to change themselves, be different, just not feeling like okay, and having that self-esteem issue, growing up. And so, yeah, it's definitely something that I noticed, like, kids related to it. And it, those little positive steps kind of, keep you going, like, hey, I'm on the right track. And that's, we kind of open our eyes, and we kind of see the clues that are given to us and go, yeah, I feel like I'm on the right path. And it's been kind of a slow path, but, it's been 8 years since I really started putting focus into this. And it's great to see the fact that I've been allowed to have an impact on our community. I mean, it just makes me so happy just to think about that. I've been given this opportunity to speak to the youth in this region, and I'm just really grateful for that.
Yeah. So okay, so bring everybody. Yeah, I have a feeling that people watching now or later, know who you are. But it just in case, like, bring everybody up to speed with what you've been doing over the last several years.
So yeah, I went around to over 100 schools every year. I'd visit each school about 2 to 4 times to create that relationship. I'd share my story. And after I shared my story of self-esteem, self-respect, exercise, eating healthy, what somebody taught me as a kid, I would come back to the school, and I would take the message of, you got this, never give up, all those positive words, and I turned them into an exercise experience called Sammy's Circuit. And so lights would go off, club lights would start pumping, music would be going, and the kids would all have their wristbands on. They'd be on teams with groups, and their teachers would be there. And every 45 seconds, switch it up. And they'd go from station to station. They'd be exercising. And during this wild experience with the lights off, the club lights, the music, I'd be on the microphone going, never give up. You got this. Keep going. I believe in you. Look at your teachers. Tell them you got this. So we were combining the positive words with an overwhelming experience that truly ingrained those words into the minds of the kids. I mean, you could talk to any kid, whether the kid loved Sammy's Circuit or didn't, they don't forget, they don't forget it. And so for me, that's a win. And so I did that every day, every single day of the school year. I was booked every day, and I would usually go about 15 hours a day because I would do night events, day events at the school, and then I'd go to another school and set up for family night events. But, obviously when COVID happened, I had cancellations of every school for the rest of the year. And within that 3-day period, I was put in a really tough position, like many people have been. But at the time, I mean, we thought it was just going to be a month. So I was like, well, 4 weeks, I don't have any schools for 4 weeks. What am I going to do? And I had teachers reach out to me saying, Sammy, the kids are really scared, and you're a positive voice for them. You need to find a way to reach those kids during this time. And that's when I took to YouTube. In 3 days, I put together I found an amazing guy named Jordan. One of my great friends, her name's Laura. She helped me. We got it together, and in 3 days I was doing YouTube Live, and we got a really nice following of kids and parents and families that, tuned in and watched the daily show. It was every weekday. Sammys Circuit on YouTube, Sammys Circuit Live, and we went all the way till June 1st was the final episode. We did 55 episodes in 3 months. So, and I didn't know I was signing up for 55 episodes. I promised the kids I will be with you every school day while school's out. And then after the first month, we realized school wasn't going back in session. And so I realized, I told the kids, never give up, never give up. And so I had to take my own advice. And it really was that motivation from the kids and the families in the community that really pushed me to keep going and keep those broadcasts going every day.
Yeah. Man, that's I didn't really think about that. Like, yeah, you really got thrown a curveball, right? Hey, we'll do this for a month. But 90 days. Wow, that's it.
Well, and I didn't know what went into it either. I mean, I'd never broadcast live before. I wasn't really in front of the camera. I'm used to live events, but the camera is a different beast. And so for me, the camera and getting that set up and going live. So if you go back to my YouTube page, Sammys Circuit on YouTube, the first episode is called Sorry for the Lag. The first episode was a disaster. I would exercise and then I would freeze for 3 seconds and then you'd see me move and then I'd freeze. So we had a big internet problem, but we didn't give up. The second episode, we came back, we fixed everything. And it was just a really good lesson to kids. Things don't always go the way you hope they go, but you don't quit. You get better. You use those mistakes and those tough times to kind of refuel and grow you stronger,
Yeah. How awesome. Like, you almost couldn't have planned it better. It's like nice to kind of show a little, little speed bump that you're able to overcome. That's cool. Hey, where, so I know you talked, I guess, who do you find your inspiration from? I was going to say where, but you've shared, your background, your story, but who are your role models? Like, where do you get this inspiration from?
Well, I mean, I don't know how it might sound kind of like, of course it is, but one of my biggest role models that inspires me is Mr. Rogers. I've been so inspired by him, the documentaries on him, the film on him, even the Tom Hanks movie. I mean, I've always looked to him to see like where his heart was at and just feel that love he had. And I just identify with him in so many ways. He was the guy who said, who you are is amazing. Who you are is just you being you is such the best thing ever. And I'm so thankful for our time. So thankful to be here together, to have this time together. And I've always said something along the lines like that to the kids. Like, I'm so glad that we get this time together. And the only thing I ever try to add to that, you get a message and you kind of make it your own. You kind of make it the best you can make it. And I've always just told kids, like, are you amazing? Absolutely, you're amazing. Is there no one like you in the world? That's absolutely true. But we don't just sit back on the couch, pat ourselves on the back and say, oh yeah, I'm amazing. We get up off the couch and we do amazing things. We use the tools, the powers inside of us to make a difference. Because, we were all given really amazing gifts for free. But if we don't use those gifts, if we don't use those tools inside of us, it doesn't really mean much, Yeah. So yeah, he's one of my biggest inspirations.
That's all. I don't know that I would have. I mean, I guess when you say, of course, yeah, like I get it, but you got this, and like the
yeah, no, he's super calm. But yeah, it's cool because it's like authentic. Like, I never tried to copy anybody. I'm just being myself, and he was being himself. That's who he is, and it just really goes to show that you don't have to be like, if you try to fit into the lines of somebody else, it doesn't feel like, you can't ever really be authentic. And so within the who inspires us, who gives us like, wow, like that person did it, like, maybe I could do it too. Just that little motivation, I definitely love what he did. And he was so dedicated to it, like the fact that he was willing to sing that song every single episode, every single time. And they tried to convince him to pre-record his song, So it was an opening, but he wanted that opening to be like authentic every time. And he did it. And it was just little things like that, just how much he loved doing what he did.
So what speaking of loving what you do, what are some of your professional goals? Like what's coming up next? What are you reaching for?
School year is going to be different next year. We've all heard. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like. I do know something for sure. Motivational speakers, assemblies, large groups of kids aren't happening. So I got the nudge a couple months ago. Hey, I don't know that Sammy's Circuit's going to be possible in the school year next year. 2021 at this point, no live events, and that was my whole business. So you tell me that, and I've either got to take it one of two ways. And I decided with the support of people who've been believing in me all along, and just knowing that it's the kids that drive me. I know the kids need that in the new school year. It's a tougher year than ever, and so I'm not just going to go away. And so I had to pivot really quickly. But that YouTube broadcast that I absolutely got thrown into, I threw myself into it. That really helped me to sharpen that tool. Like, just because I didn't know, I had doubts in myself before that. Like, will I be okay on video? Will I project? Will my energy go through the camera? And I didn't know if it would or not. But because COVID happened, I got put in this position. I had to make a choice super quick. The choice was to do YouTube. And then next thing you know, 55 episodes later, before that point, I was nervous in front of the camera. I wasn't really confident. But then after 55 episodes of not having a choice, really, there was no conversation in my mind. There wasn't any room to be afraid. So I just had to drive through that wall. And basically after 55 episodes, I can look at the camera and I can feel like I'm talking to the kids. Like I really can feel it. I'm able to like get that energy. And so I had a lot of practice. And because of that practice, because of that confidence, we've decided to create, and we're in the midst of that right now, creating Sammys Circuit on Demand. And that's going to be a social emotional program that supports PE, supports the classroom teachers, and it can be played in any classroom at any school starting in the 2021 school year. So Sammys Circuit on Demand, we're filming it right now. My Sammy's story, so the kids know my story. We've got some characters that are coming in. I've got the negative voice that's being animated. I've got another character that's kind of my positive voice. And then we've just added some really cool things in there. So it's going to be exercise, social emotional lesson that teachers can play in their classrooms next year.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I can't physically go in the schools, but that's not going to stop me. I'm going to do everything I can to be a part of the kids' school year next year. And so, like I said before, never give up. So no matter what happens, I've let go of the result. I know I'm just going to put everything I have into this.
Yeah. Man, I mean, that's the next level because, the kids that are in the local school districts here, in the Roseville, Rockland area, Sacramento area, they've got to experience you, but that really kind of opens you up to everywhere, right? Like
when we started doing YouTube on the word spread really quick. I mean, in 3 months, I mean, for me, it was a lot. We had over 150,000 views on YouTube of families, but it wasn't just here. There were families emailing us from Australia, Dubai, families in England, families on the East Coast, Brazil, families in Brazil. I mean, different countries. And it was great because it gave me the confidence in the fact that these people had never seen me before, and their kids were interacting with me through YouTube. And like I would do an air high five where I go, I need an air high five. Ready? 1, 2, 3, bam. And, you would see these kids that have never met me, have never had me in their schools, and they were high-fiving the TV screen and doing Sammys Circuit water cheers. Ready? Cheers on 3, bam. And they'd be drinking their water. And so to see that interaction with kids that didn't know me, that was really, really encouraging, that it could go further than just, the kids in this area. But of course, this is my foundation. This is my community. And you can't take the next step unless you have the support from your community, from the place. So that's why getting into the schools, getting my program into schools in this area is step one. And yeah, I feel like every kid needs this message. And it's not my message. I mean, I feel like I'm just telling them what I see to be true. I mean, they're amazing. That's never going to change, but we can't just sit back. We got to use those gifts, use those tools to help make a difference, to help, push us forward and just to kind of see what we can do.
100%. And I think we were talking about this before we pushed live. I mentioned it, you bring so much value to the parents, if we don't always know naturally what to say. I'm pretty big on incantations and positive affirmations. And if you were to, I've put my kid on the spot right now, my little 2.5-year-old, say, I'm happy, I'm healthy, I'm full of positive energy. Right. That was new to me. I didn't always experience that. That's like a last 10 years kind of thing. And so many people they don't go there first. They don't know how to inject positive words of affirmation into their kids. So in a lot of ways, it's nice. Well, Sammy's doing this. That's what I'm going to just say that too, So now we're saying you got this through the house all the time. And I think there's a ton of value in having parents listen to what you're saying.
Well, okay. So one thing I want to say about that is I've had parents come up to me after a live event or whatever. And they go, hey, I've been telling my kids this for years. I've been telling them to eat their vegetables. I've been telling them, you can do it. Never give up. And they never seem to get it. And then you come in and you say one thing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm eating vegetables. All of a sudden they're saying, never give up, Dad. And they say, why is that? Why? I've been doing it for years. And I go, you don't understand. You are the seed that was planted in their mind. All I did was just put a little bit of water and it grew. It doesn't work without the two, So it's like parents, your kids hear your voice all the time. And I know this because this is how it is with my kids. I say this stuff to my kids, but they just hear it. And I'm able to help thousands of kids hear my voice and they all react to it in a positive way. But then my own kids, I have that trouble. And it's because we all need an outside voice, and that outside voice, all it's doing is putting some water on those seeds that us parents have been planting all along, and so it is we're all in this together in that respect. We do the best we can. We try to teach our kids the best, but if that seed wasn't there, my words wouldn't do anything. If the first time your kids heard never give up was me, they'd be like, what does that even mean? They've heard it from their parents so many times. They've heard eat your vegetables from their parents so many times. And so it's a cool thing. An outside voice is a powerful thing,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Do you ever think about developing a program or kind of like a part, something that goes with it, where you speak directly to parents, basically you say that same message, because maybe they haven't been telling their kids to never give up, right? Maybe they need that seed to be planted in order for you to be effective also.
Yeah. I love connecting with families. And the thing about parents is I've heard parents say the words that you're saying to my kids are words that I need to hear too. And I used to help adults before I helped kids. I spent 10 years focusing on just adults. And that was a great 10 years. But a lot of times when we grow up as adults, we kind of know what we know already. So when somebody looks at you and says, hey, Jeff, this is what you need to do. As adults, we kind of shut down Like, like, don't tell me, because I already know I'm gonna, it's almost like there's an ego there, there's something there, there's a block where we kind of know what we know already. But when parents listen, kind of secondary, and their kids are watching, the parents aren't being talked to. So it's like they hear those words, and without their plan, the words kind of get into their mind. So it's really cool. It's like what drives us are our kids anyway. You realize all the things that you've accomplished since you've had kids. That's what drives you to be better. So when your kids are hearing those words, and it really does have an effect on the parents, and it does have a positive, as a family, and so that's another cool thing about it too.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Yeah, there's probably a lot more value in just listening to what our kids are listening to versus being told what to do.
Yeah,
I would still sign up if there was a how to be a Sammys Circuit parent. I'd sign up for that sort of the training.
I remember you said that,
Right.
and I think that'd be some good YouTube content. Like just do a couple YouTube videos for parents to watch, and and you never know. But definitely, I mean, we're all trying to figure out parenting. Everyone's trying to figure it out. Man, it's tough. It's the best job in the world, but it's probably the toughest one. And what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? But it's just, we can all use that help. We can all, everybody.
100%. Yes. What are you most proud of?
My kids, my family.
Yeah.
Everything that I've done has been because of my family. The strength that I've gotten from my family. When I first started speaking, I was, like I told you, I was so afraid. My wife, Megan, she heard me talk about this dream, and she got to the point where she was really sick and tired of me just talking about it, but I was so afraid I was never going to do it. I got home one day and I got a phone call from this is 8 years ago. I got a phone call from an after school program. They said, "Hey, Sammy, we're so excited that you're going to be our volunteer motivational speaker." And I said, "What did you say?" And they said, "Yeah, your wife called and she signed you up to be a volunteer motivational speaker." And I was like, oh yeah, I'll be there on Monday. And then I got off the phone and I look at my wife and I go, what did you do? She goes, "Hey, I'm just tired of you talking about it. Now it's time to actually get up and do something." And so, I would have never taken that first step. It's like jumping into a freezing pool. It's just like, you either jump in or you don't. And so that first step. And so, and then once that happened, we had my son 6 years ago. And once my kids came into the picture, where I was afraid before, I wasn't really afraid anymore, because the worst possible thing that could happen when you fail in your business and your dreams, it doesn't even touch the love that you have for your kids and your family, and how much that drives you. So it really has been a huge driving force for me. So yeah, nothing. And also, can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
After we had Christian, I took him to the park, and he was like 8 months old, and he was just waddling around the park. And this guy comes up to me. He was an older guy. He was like 91 years old. He was in his 90s for sure. He comes over to me, and when an older guy like that comes over to me, I listen. I have so much respect for the wisdom and knowledge that anybody wants to give me. I'm always trying to go mine. But he comes over, and he points over at my son Christian, and he goes, "Just so you know, that's the greatest thing you've done, and that's the greatest thing you'll ever do." And I just sat with that for a while,
Yeah.
Because meanwhile, I'm trying to accomplish this big thing with my business and trying to get this big. And is it going to work out? Is it not going to work out? But the greatest thing I've ever accomplished, the greatest thing I've ever done, is right there in front of my eyes. And a lot of times we forget that as parents, because there's just nothing better than that.
Yeah.
So.
Thanks for that story. I think I need to hear that often. I know this is recorded. I might just where are we at here? This is
Hey, I'll say it again. the greatest thing the greatest thing you've done and the greatest thing you'll ever do. It's right there. And so it's powerful when you really think about it.
What if you could, so I didn't have any, I think you covered everything. I had actually more questions, but you've answered all of them right now. Like, if you could step into my shoes right now, and maybe that was your story, but if you could step into my shoes and ask you a question that I didn't ask, what would it be?
That's probably the hardest question you've asked me. But, I don't know. Like, we're all going through our own stuff, and everyone's stuff. You can't compare it. You can't compare your story and my story. I think the biggest thing is that no matter what is going on in our day, no matter what's going on, we just take it one step at a time and we do the best that we can do. And when you feel like there's something in your life that's a big risk or something in your life that's scary, usually that's something inside of you telling you that that's the direction that you got to go. And a lot of us have been through a lot in the last 3 months. And all I've been trying to do every day, like maybe if the question's like, what's changed in me the last 3 months, I would just say that I've really realized like the whole thing with my kids, like just the time that I have and how important it is. Just being smarter with my time instead of working harder, working smarter kind of thing. And doing the videos of Sammy's Circuit's been big, but just the other day I did something I haven't done in like 6 years. I spent 10 hours building this huge Lego. It's like this big. It's the Millennium Falcon, the Star Wars Millennium Falcon. My son and I built that together. And man, I never would have done that before. I never would have done that because, I don't have the time. I got to spend it, thinking about this or that. But just that time that we spent building that together was like something that he's never going to forget. He's going to have that Millennium Falcon up on his dresser. Dad and I built that when I was younger. And, it's just so powerful, just spending that time with our families and realizing that, the things that scared us before really are the challenges and struggles that we learn to love and embrace. Like what scared us, what we thought was a terrible thing that happened in our life really ends up being a great part of us, a part of us that forged something that we didn't see or didn't think was there. And as a parent, just as an adult in general, you don't even have to be a parent, because if you're not a parent, that's cool. It's everyone's deal. Just as an adult, the safe route's not always the best route, and we just got to keep putting ourselves in some type of place where we can grow. And it's usually not a comfortable place, and we usually don't choose that path. So like none of us would have chosen this path. I know I wouldn't have chosen this. I would have taken the path of finishing up my school year and going to all the schools that I was set to go to. And instead it didn't happen that way. And I'm just finding the positives in that, every day trying to find the positives in what could be a really negative situation.
Yeah. What's interesting to me about what you said is like, so what's changed for you in the last like 3 months is basically you value your time with your family and your kids more than ever before, when really everything in your business has changed, and most people would be frantically like focused on that all of the time and completely just that the family will happen later. Once I get it all back up to normal, I get my business going again, then I'll deal with my family. But you've completely you're completely going for the family now, when you're just resisting that like chaotic response.
Well, to be honest, the first month of March, I was a head case, but it was an adjustment period. I was living a life before where I would leave for work before my kids woke up, and I would come home after they'd go to bed. So there would be like 2 days or 3 days where I didn't see them during the week. And then I had to start asking myself this question. You're out there. I mean, my wife, she talked to me about it, she said, hey, you're helping everybody else's kid, and yet you haven't seen your kids in 48 hours. And I was under this like impression of like, well, I can't stop. I mean, I can't stop. This is my job. This is how I earn our income for our family. What are you asking me to do? And so I get defensive because I didn't know a different way. But then you do see, and so after that first month of that transition, I started, like I just told this story earlier today. When when COVID happened, that next Monday, my daughter Charlotte comes into our bedroom when we wake up in the morning. And the first thing she says is, Dad, why are you here? And I was like, what do you mean? And it was so weird for her that Dad was home when she got up. And then the next day she's like, Dad, why are you here again? And I'm like, hey, I'm going to be here in the morning, and then now it's like, now they would never expect me not to be there in the morning. And so it's those little things where you really see what's important. And when you really know what's important, and I'm still growing in this, like I'm not the perfect dad. I'm just able to say like, wow, like I love this so much. I just love slowing down a little bit and appreciating, what's really valuable and being able to balance that. And like I said before, just work smarter, So yeah, I mean, there's always a positive to find in the worst storms, the worst things that happen. There's always a positive, and you're going to find whatever you're looking for. That's the thing. You're going to find whatever you are looking for. So that's what we got to kind of set our minds to do, is just focus on what are we looking for? What are we going to look for? Because whatever we want to look for, we're definitely going to find it,
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
Powerful message, man. I mean, I knew selfishly, I was like, I can't wait to get Sami on here because I think I'm going to pull from it. Right. And I know anybody that's watching this, that's stuck with us. We still have a few viewers that are still here with us now. So, a ton of value. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that I missed or something that you want to share or how?
Yeah, this is one more thing. There's just one more thing. Ready?
Yeah.
You got this.
You're amazing, Sami. Thank you. That's never going to change.
Oh, thank you. I'm not just going to pat myself on the back either. I'm going to get up and I'm going to keep doing amazing things. I promise you that.
I believe it, man. Is there anything that we can do to support you? Like whoever's watching this, how can we, like, I'm going to drop the links at sammyscircuit.com. I'm going to drop the YouTube to your page so we can follow you there. But like, how else can we support you?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing is, like my Facebook page, Sammys Circuit, because everything that I do in the future, it's going to be talked about there. And so just sharing the word, like when the Sammys Circuit on-demand program is available for schools to have, I'd like to spread the word on that to get it to as many schools in front of as many kids as we possibly can. And like I said, you can't do that without the support of your community. So if anyone's watching, liking my page, Sammys Circuit Facebook page, that'd be awesome. And I appreciate you big time. So thank you so much.
Cool. I also did a thing too on to just help. Actually, let's do this. Anybody that's watching this right now, can you just comment and say, I did this, or better yet, I got this, and then go and like his page after you've done it. Comment back here and say, I've got this, because I'm going to give away some of your books, man, the Sami versus the Negative Voice. So I'll just grab some people at random. I asked people to share this video, but now I'm asking, go like Sami's page on Facebook, and I'll randomly grab 4 people to get one of his books. It'll deliver. We've had a good time with this book at home with the family. So
nice. I appreciate you doing that. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sami. Appreciate it, man. We'll be following you for sure.
All right. Take care.